Jeez. Dude, that is highly flammable right there. How you making, folks? We're not going fishing today because it's raining. But I guess since it's raining, what better opportunity than to make this another Tested Tuesday. Hopefully y'all can hear me, because this plastic roof we got right here is just banging and it's loud. And on this Tested Tuesday, we're going to be going through some artificial shrimps to see which one's better, which one looks the best in the water. We're using pretty much 3 almost identical type of artificial shrimp. We got the Voodoo Shrimp, that you know, that's pretty popular one. Most people know what that's all about. Then we got the H2o Express Brand, which is Academy's brand, their store brand, which is made pretty much exactly the same. It looks exactly the same, but it's about $1.50 cheaper. And then we got one I've never tried before, but it's the Z-Man Easy Shrimp right there. With a Z. But I've never tried these. These seem pretty cool. I mean, they look similar, but not exactly like the other ones. They don't really have that fabric weaved into the plastic like the other two do. But it does have that split body, that split tail that should give it a lot of action. But this one has a weight right there that you can actually break pieces off of. So if the water has less salinity, it'll sink a little bit slower, because that's kind of what you want. You want these shrimp to sink kind of slow, because live shrimp don't just sink like that. The live shrimp kind of jump and go. And then just to throw in something completely different, we got a Doa shrimp that I found just chilling in my boat. Still a soft plastic, but it's just you know, stiffer. It doesn't have that split body. But well, I don't feel like waiting for my backyard to flood. But we're gonna go drop these in the fish tank and see how they swim, and then maybe after that we'll give them some strength tests and just to see how tough they are and how they're made. The first one we're going to start off with is the Doa shrimp, or the TKO, just depending on what brand you get. They're both pretty much the same thing. I don't remember which one this is because I couldn't find the box, like I said earlier. So we're going to use this one as basically like a control, because this is like your most common cheaper version. I say it's cheaper. I think this one was $5.99 for 3 of them, whereas most of those were around that price for only 2. So we're going to give this one a shot just to see how it swims, floats, and flops, so we can then we can compare it to the other 3 and, you know, see. Alright, so initially, you know, there's no tail motion, but I do like the way it falls, because it falls flat. It don't really go head first much. But the thing I don't like is when you stop, it just sits straight up and down, and well, I've never seen a shrimp just do that. But as far as the way it moves, look, even the little legs have a little shimmer. I don't know if you can see it. Maybe I can slow this down or something. But I do like the way it falls. It falls not too fast, a little bit faster than I'd like, but still, all in all, it looks pretty good. Except for the fact that it just dangles straight up and down and there's no tail motion really. But I've never noticed that before. I don't know if you can see, but look at how them legs. The legs are wiggling as it goes down. Next up, we're going to try probably the most popular one is the Voodoo Shrimp. It's definitely the most expensive. It's $7 for 2 of them. But I mean, all in all, it looks pretty good. It's some pretty tough lure. If you're not familiar with these, it's got some kind of fabric weaved in between the plastic. Makes the tail good and flimsy with a lot of motion. So let's see what this thing looks like in the water. Alright, first thing I notice is how it sits when you just stop. I love the way it just sits like that. That plastic that they use is kind of buoyant, so that back end will stay kind of raised up. So I love the way that looks. You know, and then the motion, the great motion they got in the tail looks good. The only thing I don't like is how fast this thing sinks. How fast that thing dives. I mean, it's got some great motion. That'll probably trigger a fish to bite. I know I'd eat it. It looks delicious. Burrow that sucker up since out of there. You know what I'm saying? I just don't like how fast it sinks. It's like a thing sinks fast. El mucho, el faste. And then it's doing flips like an acrobat. Amazing. Let's see this thing in slow-mo. So the next one we're going to do is the H2o Express brand, which is Academy's store brand. It's basically, I mean, almost exactly like the Voodoo Shrimp. It's built the same way. Very, very subtle differences between it. If it holds up to be the same as the Voodoo, then you can get these for $1.50 cheaper than the Voodoo. So let's give it a try. Alright, right off the back we notice just hanging there. It's got a nice horizontal lay, pretty similar to the Voodoo Shrimp. This one seems to sink a little bit slower maybe, but it still sinks way too fast, I think. But maybe in some saltier water it might sink a little bit slower, but again, I much rather it like this. And the thing's cool about these with all these motion like this, if you're with a cork and you got some choppy water or waves, the whole time that cork's going to be bobbing up and down the water, and it's going to stay looking like that even when you're sitting still. And when you jerk it, it'll jump up, and then when you let it rest, it'll still have that little wavy motion when the waves pass by. So that's a plus for these type of shrimp for sure. Alright, and last but not least, we're going to try out the Z-Man Easy Shrimps, which is kind of a combination between the Doa Shrimp and the Voodoo Shrimp. I mean, it has the split tail ends like that where it's segments. It don't have the fiber or the fabric or whatever you want to call it in between it. It's just connected right there at the top and then cut at the bottom. But then it's kind of has that weight right there in the center, just like this Doa Shrimp does right there in its center. So I mean, it's kind of a cross between the two, and it's a different plastic though. It's real stretchy, which is pretty cool. I think this is the type of plastic though where if you mix with your other soft plastics, it'll melt all in your tackle box and it gets pretty nasty. So this is the one with the that weight where you can cut some pieces off, break it off with a pair of pliers and to lessen the weight or whatever. So we're going to try it out first with all of the weight, and then we're going to knock off all the notches. We're going to knock it off down to about half or whatever and see if we can't lighten it up to see if it sinks any slower. So alright, well, we can see when we stop, that's one thing I don't like. Just like with the Doa Shrimp, how it just hangs straight up and down vertical when you're sitting still. And even say if the waves are moving, you got a little bit of tail action there. That ain't bad. But when you stop, it still just hangs vertical like that. But it's got some decent tail action, not quite as much as the Voodoo Shrimp or the H2o Shrimp. Some decent motion. Sinks still a little too fast for me. But let's pull this thing out. I'm gonna chop off a couple of those weights and see if that slows it down any. Alright, so I just pulled out my pair of pliers and we're just gonna break it off. If you can see right there, they got these little ridges right there that we're gonna snap off right at that last little groove. And I mean, it'll cut the weight not quite in half, but almost. Might knock off an ounce or so. I don't know how much this thing weighs, but see how hard it is to. Wow, that was real easy. So it don't take much to pop the weight off. So now you can see it's a lot shorter right there. So let's see if that made any difference in how fast this thing wants to sink. Well, don't seem to make much difference. Oh, watch it there, Flipper. We don't want to hook you. So it don't seem to make much of a difference. Still sinks really fast. But maybe in saltier water it might slow down a little bit. Well, I guess it finished raining while we were doing the old fish tank test, these things in the water. Now it's just hot. I wasn't planning on doing this initially when I decided to do this particular video, but when I found this Doa Shrimp in my boat, and I was just kind of trying to see how sturdy it was, when I pulled, this tail snapped right off, just like this. Just clean off. Just clean off. And I was like, well, I only had one and I wanted to test it, so let me see if I could fix this thing. So I used the lighter, heated up both ends, stuck it together, and it worked. So now I'm kind of curious on our other three shrimp on our other three shrimp, if this would work and how tough they would be if I pull on them to see, you know, what takes it to break. So let's try that out. Anyway, just to show you how I did this on the Doa Shrimp. All I'm going to do is just get them both, you want to heat up both ends, starting to melt, try not to catch them on fire like I just did. And you, oh yeah, there we go, nice and melted. You just stick them together, smush them together like that. And you know, it's good enough. I mean, it's not on there real good, but you can tug on it a little bit and there you go, you got your lure fixed. And it'd be good enough to catch a fish or two. So there you go. That's the Doa shrimp. So now we're gonna try the Voodoo shrimp. Kinda don't want to tear this thing apart because of how much it costs, but hopefully we can melt it back together. But we're gonna start just trying to pull this into the little tail right here. I'm just gonna give it a tug, like so. As you can see, it's got this fabric, and the fabric it didn't do a good job of putting it in the center of this one. So we're gonna try and pull and see. Wow, that fabric's pretty sturdy. See if we can pull this. Oh yeah, we can pull the rubber off of it. We're able to pull that plastic out of there, but that didn't want to break. That's some pretty tough stuff right there. See if it'll. Oh, it'll catch on fire, or it'll melt. So let's see if we can do the same thing that we did with the other one. See if this plastic will melt. Oh, now we're on fire here. Okay, well, now they're good and melted. Let it cool off, see if what we got. Yeah, that comes apart pretty easily. I reckon that ain't gonna work, fellas. It just doesn't want to work like the Doa shrimp did, so, well, there's another plus for that one. Now we're gonna try this, because this is a completely different kind of plastic. This stuff here is just stretchy, so can't imagine this thing's gonna be too easy to tear apart because of how stretchy it is. But we're gonna grab it right there and just pull. Man, that's some pretty tough stuff. Yeah, it's starting to come apart. Boom! There we go. Now let's give this one a try. See if we can melt that. Stick this one back together. I don't really know how often you'd come into a situation like this where you'd have to melt two. Oh my gosh, this stuff is flammable. Oh my goodness. Jeez, it's highly flammable. Anyway, as I was saying while this dries, is I don't know how often you'll come into a situation where you need to melt the tail back onto an artificial shrimp. But since I came across having to do it once, I figured I'd see if we can't replicate it amongst the other brands, and just in case you're curious. Because who knows, you might run into that situation one day. Here goes the tug test. Well, a little bit sticking to it, but not nearly as good as the other one. Let's try it again and give it maybe a little bit more time to cool or whatnot. But I'll tell you what, this stuff is flammable. Jeez, oh my gosh. Well, that answers that. Well, this one certainly wins in this department. Look at that. Give it a nice little tug, still stretches. I mean, look. So as far as fixability, we're going with the Doa. Well, that kind of gives me an idea. Might as well test it just in case you find yourself in the midst of a volcano and you want to go fishing. Kids, don't try this at home. But before we get into burning this Z-Man lure, make sure you let me know in the comments below anything I would like to see on Tested Tuesdays. It could be anything from hunting, fishing, or even camping. We'll give it a shot, maybe test it out, do some comparison videos, maybe some reviews. You just let me know what you want to see. So, here goes. I'm gonna light this thing right here. I mean, that thing just, look how fast that thing catches. Holy moly, look at this thing. Oh, jeez. Dude, that is highly flammable right there. This would not fish well in a volcano. Not at all. Holy moly. Gee! Ooh, the wind's blowing. Well, folks, I hope you enjoyed this installment of Tested Tuesday on Pelican Bone Outdoors. If you want to see any more of these Tested Tuesday videos, you can click on this playlist right here, or maybe you want to check this video out. And don't forget to hit this subscribe button and hit that notification bell so you'll be notified every time I upload so you don't miss a single one.